Welcome to the Mind Talk podcast, where we delve into the roots of dis-ease growing deep in the subconscious mind. I am your host, Diane Vanis, with over 26 years in energy medicine. Dr. Gabor Maté spent 30 years treating cancer, addiction, autoimmune disease, and he found the same pattern in every single patient. It had nothing to do with genes. While mainstream medicine ignored his findings, his patients didn't. Gabor Maté is not an alternative healer. He's a physician, 30 years in palliative and addiction medicine, University of British Columbia. He has sat with thousands of people at the end of their lives and asked one question that most doctors never ask. What happened to you? Not what is wrong with you. What happened to you? That distinction took him 30 years to understand, and when he did, everything he thought he knew about illness changed. Across thousands of patients with cancer, autoimmune disease, chronic pain, and addiction, he kept seeing the same psychological profile. It wasn't random. It wasn't coincidence. It was a pattern so consistent he could almost predict before reading the file. The pattern, a lifetime of suppressing anger, compulsive caretaking of others at the expense of self, deep disconnection from their own needs, and the inability to say no without guilt, and a body that had been absorbing everything that the mind refused to feel. Gabor Mate's core finding is that the body keeps the score of every emotion that the mind refuses to process, not metaphorically, physiologically. Every suppressed emotion becomes a chronic stress signal. The mechanism is cortisol. When emotions are suppressed, the nervous system stays in low-level threat mode. Cortisol stays elevated. What medicine does instead, treat the organ, not the origin. Manage the symptom. Never asks what the body is expressing. Prescribes medication for the inflammation without asking why the inflammation exists. The body is treated as a machine with a fault, not a person with an unexpressed life. Dr. Mate's most confronting observation is most of my cancer patients didn't know how to say no. Not occasionally, consistently, for decades. The body eventually had to say it for them. Of his many books, he has one entitled, When the Body Says No. This is not about blame. The inability to say no didn't come from weakness. It came from early environments when saying no meant losing love, where expressing anger meant losing safety, where having needs meant being a burden. The body learned to absorb what a child was never allowed to express. and it kept absorbing through adulthood, through relationships, through careers, built on giving while quietly disappearing until the body ran out of capacity to hold what the mind kept refusing. Healing in this framework is not just biological, it is the recovery of self permission, permission to feel anger, permission to have needs, permission to say no without it meaning that you're a bad person. The body relaxes when you stop abandoning yourself. One question to begin: what am I feeling that I haven't let myself feel today? Not what should I feel, not what is appropriate to feel, what is actually there underneath the management and the performance and the getting on with it. You don't need to fix everything at once. You only need to stop pretending that the feeling isn't there, and that acknowledgement alone begins to shift the nervous system. The body doesn't need perfection, it needs honesty. The most radical act of healing is not a supplement or a protocol, it's learning to feel what you were taught to suppress and trusting that your body was never your enemy. It was always just trying to get your attention.